Good morning, and good morning. I know I'm late, but for some reason, I didn't realize my printer didn't have any paper in it. So I run downstairs, and of course, no paper. So I had to put paper in it for it to print it out. So I apologize for my lateness this morning. How was your last couple of days? What did you do? Was there something that was interesting that you know, attending? Is it something outside? Are you walking? What are you doing? What you doing? I did go exercise yesterday and on also Monday, so I'm getting my exercise in, and I'm trying to do intermittent fasting again, and that's kind of interesting because I don't know, when you first do it, it all makes sense. And then the next time you do it, it's like, I don't like it as much. So I'm getting back into it, getting back into it. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about a word. It just has really, perked my interest of late, because I hear a lot of people use it, and I don't think all of us are as familiar with it as we should be. I'm turning my phone off for some reason. I didn't turn it off. It was just it was doing an update, so I couldn't turn it off before. But anyway, so today's word is pontificate. Pontificate. And we'll talk about the word in a minute, but it's one of those words that most people probably have to look up, even when they hear somebody saying it, because of the way it might come into a sentence as a point of discussion. But anyway, I found a little poem here that it's so short, but it to me it pretty much pretty much says that this is what pontificate is. It says it's a poet. It says the poet's soul, and it's by N.A. Michaelis. And it says, the poet's soul is trapped between heaven and hell. It says, only continuous, pure expression can break the spell without compromise. So, if you've ever seen anybody that, once we get into the word, you understand that pontificate means some special things, that really says that usually people who have that pontificating demeanor, they're intentional. They mean to really get you to understand them, see them, hear them, know them. Period. That's what they want. And so we're going to get into the word right now. And so when we start out, it says, well, what is pontificate? So pontificate, it says it expresses one's opinions in a way considered to be annoyingly pompous and dogmatic. Have you ever had conversations with people that are vying for your attention, trying to twist you from where you're at, but yet and still they do it in such a way that you pay attention, but you don't want to pay attention because you don't like how it's being delivered? Sometimes the way we carry ourselves are turnoffs for others because we're basically forceful. We're forceful in our messages. We're demanding in our messages. We're requiring others to not only hear us and see us and know us, but walk away with the fact that they believe us. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough when you're talking to people where you don't really have a voice, because their voice, basically resonates above all other voices. And it could be anybody. It could be a preacher, it could be a teacher, it could be a politician. They come in all forms. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, good morning. A person who, our word today is pontificate. A person that is intending for you to hear them, see them, know them, are really in a position for you to you know get right in front of you. And sometimes it may be demanding, intimidating, it may be threatening, but you hear them. You hear them. So, pontificate means to express one's opinion in a way that is considered annoyingly pompous and dogmatic. I'll say that again, meaning that there's a declaration to it. They expound on it, they preach. How many of us have met preachers in the streets? You know, I think I was in this store at the market the other day and I was talking about the prices going up, and someone decided to give me a lecture on why the prices are going up. Well, I didn't have time. So I said, oh, well, yeah, that's good information. But I didn't come back with them with the retort to say, I don't care what you say, or I'm not. I just gracefully said, yeah, that sounds like that's great for information. Thank you so much. But I was already in a hurry. So sometimes we have to be aware of what people are saying to us long enough for us to respond in a cordial way. Sometimes we can't respond and like, what are you talking about? Or why are you talking to me? Or I just leave it out. Leave out that part. Leave it out. So it says when you're also talking with somebody who may have this pontificating kind of spirit, it says they're laying down the law. They may be sounding off, spouting out information, sermonizing. It says dogmatize. It says dramatize, and basically lecturing. They're lecturing you. So we move on in the word, and I'll ask you this morning, do occasionally you get stuck with yourself or others doing that pontificating kind of action in conversation where they're demanding you to listen to them? Do you demand that of others? You know, wait a minute, I didn't finish yet. Okay. It's always can be confrontational. Good morning, Maurice. How are you? Pontificate is our word. And when we move on with the word of pontificate, which as I said means annoyingly pompous and dogmatic, my P is for preach. How many of us have met preachers not having the background in preaching or the schooling in preaching, but they're preaching? Okay. It's their way of trying to get you to understand. Pay attention to me. You know, I got a sermon for you. I got something I'm telling you. You know, well, I want to say no, thank you. I'm going to go to church and listen to my own preacher on Sunday, my own pastor. But sometimes you don't always get that. Prophecy, okay. Performance, ooh, these are good. Prophecy, prepare, yes. So it says, I said preach, which says give moral advice. How many people have you met that will give you more moral advice? You know, keep your children home. You know, you're not doing enough for that husband. You know, they got things to tell you. Okay. But it says it's annoying and pompously self-righteous way of telling you their story. You know, their story, their understanding, their experience. You get it. You say, wow, that's very interesting. It says sometimes they're dealing with morality. They might be sermonizing something. They may be pontificating. There it is. There's the word again. Or harangue. How many people can say that they've gone through a harangue with someone? It's like, wow, seemed like I was fighting without fists. I was fighting without words. They were stronger than me. They had more to say. I was, you know, that's why I always used to, you know, in high school, we used to have a debate team. And I said, well, I'm going to get on that. And I had to prepare for it because I wasn't, you know, the kind of person that retaliated with words and brought the feeling level up to where, you know, I'm getting people over on my side and I'm angry. But basically that's what sometimes debates do, because people realize that their compass for dealing with other people is too low, where other people come in real high and they knock down everything you say quickly. So you have to know how to debate and what you're saying in your debate. And when I move on in my word of pontificate, my O is for opinion. Let's face it, all of us have our own opinions. Everybody does. I don't care who we are. Even a child may tell you, I don't want that. Don't, I remember my daughter telling me, but I don't like it. I'm not going to eat that when she was little, because I would eat things that she wouldn't eat. And finally I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to eat it either. So I hear you. I hear you. Offset. Oh, that's good. Hey, Debbie, you doing good? Hey, Ardelia. Today our word is pontificate, which means express one's opinion in a way considered to be annoying and pompous and dogmatic. Let's face it. We know people like that. They may be on the national scale, the international scale. They may be your best friend. Got to tell you, no, that doesn't go together. No, you can't eat that. No, you can't go here. No, we leaving at 7. Okay, those things can become annoying and dogmatic in their delivery. Let's face it, it is what it is. But when we have an opinion, it says a view, judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. Okay, that's how they feel about it. That's how I feel about it. Good morning, Erica. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you guys in the space. And so it talks about when you have an opinion, you're giving beliefs, your judgment, your thoughts, your thinking, you're not thinking, your way of thinking. How about your mind or your mindset? Because some people, I have met people that I know are twisted. But ask me, do I engage with them long? Sometimes it's long enough to get through that little bit of conversation that we're having. And sometimes it's a one-sided conversation because they're talking at me. They're telling me what they think should be done. Overbearing. Ooh, I didn't even think of that word, but that's a great word, overbearing. But when somebody has an opinion, it says they're also giving you their judgments, their thoughts, their thinking patterns, their mind. It says their point of view, not yours. Sometimes they may ask you, what do you think? You believe like I believe? And I think, for me, you will never hear me talk much about politics, weight, that's WEIGHT, weight, or religion, only because those are like topics that people are really passionate about. And passion sometimes generates, what I would call things that they cannot be taken back. Where people want to argue about it, fight about it, stop talking to you about it, lose friendship over. So I leave them off the table. They're not open for discussion. I don't want to discuss that. I'd rather us just be friends, regardless of what you believe in those areas. When I see you, I'm still glad to see you. But I don't necessarily want to have that kind of discussion where you said, oh, that's what you think. That's what there's no accusations, nothing required. Just come as you are. We're going to be friends. We'll be friends. So it also talks about opinion being a position, conclusions that we draw from what we hear. Come on now. Y'all know you done heard some stuff. You say, ooh, wow, how they get there? As in Italian, when you say, I don't know, it's like non lo so. Non lo so. I don't know. That's it. And it may be an opinion is also an idea. Where'd that idea come from? Now, all of us are capable of having ideas. We can go to bed, get up just long enough to say, my goodness, where'd that come from? Write it down and go back to sleep. That's me. Sometimes that's how some of my words come to me. I'll have prepared a totally other word, and then I'll wake up with a word that gives me what I call some grounding for discussion. When we move it in our word of pontificate, I have my N as nestled. Nestled means settle or lie comfortably within or against something. A lot of times you find that people have pretty much bored into where they're at on what they believe. Like right now, politics is hot, but it might be, religion becomes hot, or the latest fashion may be hot. I like Louis Vuitton. No, I like Gucci, that kind of thing. Because people love what they love, and that's okay. It's okay with me. But other people take offense by what they don't like in others. Okay. Something being necessary, yes. And the other things being notable and being normal. All of those great, great words. We realize that sometimes our normal is not someone else's normal. They don't even think like us. They don't think like you. They don't think like me. They think like they think, you know. And you may say, how'd they get there? And I've done that. Even in, as a counselor, I used to say, I don't know how they got there. I don't know, but what I have to do is figure out how to work with them so that they can see where they're at. Because if people don't see where they're at, then they're there. They're stuck. So they are stuck if that's where they are. So when something is nestled, it says that they're snuggled in, they're cuddled, they're curled up, they've huddled into it, they've burrowed, which is what I'd used before, or they lie close. I'm gonna stay right here. This is what I feel is the most important thing about this area that I'm discussing. They love it. That's where they are. They love it. My T when in pontificate is for temperament. I believe that temperament really says something about what pontificate is. Because temperament is if a person is delivering you know, tough information, but they deliver it with grace and peacefulness and conscious of who you are, and without all of the cursing or the slurring of words or whatever they're doing. You can take it. You can take it no matter what it is. You can take it. But if it comes with the temperament being raised up really high, and there's anger and there's frustration and there's cursing, and basically there's calling you names, you understand that, oh my goodness, this conversation really needs to be over, because I'm not in that conversation. That's not me. So let's see. Talkative, that's really good. Talkative and tendencies. Yeah, some people have a tendency to do just what I'm talking about. So temperament for me says a person or animal's nature, especially as it is permanently affects their behavior. We know that our position on how we think affects how we are and what we do. I don't care who we are. If we're feeling good, we can show it. If we're not feeling good, sometimes that shows too. Sometimes we try to be good, what I call a thrasher. Oh, goodness gracious. Sometimes that's good, Debbie. Sometimes we might be people who try to conceal what's going on by saying, oh, I'm okay, knowing that you don't feel well, you know. And I'm quite sure there's been many a person with COVID who didn't know they had COVID, but wasn't feeling well. And then later on, it all came to light. But it is what it is. It's like you don't if you're a quiet person and you don't discuss, or you don't want people to know that you're not feeling well, you're probably not going to tell them. But also with temperament, there's disposition, there's their nature, personality, behavior, their constitution is involved. It says their mind, their spirit, and their outlook. All that has to do with someone's temperament. If someone is yelling at me, I've probably already stopped listening if they're yelling at me. I don't know. It's just my mother and my mother would raise her voice, but my father was just the opposite. He barely said anything, and we were at attention, because for him we responded. My mother made it fearful. We were afraid of our mother. Come on now. But my father made it where it was okay to come to him immediately and hear what he had to say. But my mother was tough, plain and simple. She was just a tough woman. But after a while, we had the cues. We knew not to ever get her to that level, okay, where she needed to yell. In fact, there were so many of us, she would, especially the last four, she would always say, now she knew who she was calling, but she called all the names, Shirley, Ronnie, Tommy, Sandra, all of us. So we all would show up, and then she'd tell her what the deal was. And sometimes we tell on each other. You, yes, I did. I was good at that. I was good at that. So I told whatever. It was going to keep me from getting in any further trouble with Lily, who was the intimidator. Okay. That's it. As far as I was concerned, I was the baby. I figured that she would be, and they did too. My brothers and sisters said, well, she gonna bother you as much as she will us. We older than you. That was true. That was true. So when we move further on in our word of pontificate, we want to talk about incite. How many of you have seen people be incited to do things because the person with the voice, the booming voice, the vocal, what I would say, the vocal prowess, the anger, the frustration, the whatever, the one that can rev up. Okay. So incite means encourage or stir up violent or unlawful behavior. And it's so funny because I remember, when there were unrests, and I was young, and I really wasn't the one. I had more fear than I had, worried about really what else was going on in terms of why people were so angry. It wasn't that I wasn't knowledgeable about it. It was that it wasn't the thing that I felt was needed more attention. The attention I felt I needed was, how do I protect myself? There's a lot of people out here, and some of them there were very, very angry, and they had sticks and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm looking out for my physical being, where some of these people were in their heads. And so there was that thing where you saw them being incited to stir up more support in what they were doing. So it talks about when something is insightful, it says it could be whipped up, encouraged. It could be where they fan the flames, meaning it's already started. Let's make it the fire get higher and higher. And it says where something's been instigated, stimulated, triggered, caused, or enticed. And I don't know. I've never been the person that ran to things. Okay, if something is going down, that I know that isn't right for me, I'm not in that direction. I'm going the other way. Not that I'm a coward, just that I know that sometimes we have to do our best to avoid confrontation, to avoid trouble. And how do we do that if we don't, figure out a better way where we can talk about it maybe, and not necessarily, raise up, attitudes and rage and anger. Let's wait till we can talk about it on a level that makes sense to me. When I move further away, and we have insane, ignorant. Oh my God, I love it. Imposing. Ooh, illegal. Yeah, because they said that this, when something is incited, and I think a lot of times people who speak from that platform of just realizing that they are in control, and they want to pontificate their presence, you might see that there might be some illegal stuff that comes off of that, period. When I move further on in my word, my F is for focus. How do we focus on stuff that's gone out of control? And so it says sometimes the people that are out of control assist us in becoming out of control, or we have to remove ourselves from the situation, which makes us maybe regain control and catch our breath and realize that what was going on was above us and above our ability. Sometimes we have to be the one that takes on the right way to approach life, not the wrong way, familiarize ourselves with what's going on. That's right. I don't believe anybody can say they know something if they've never experienced it, never attempted as much as possible to research it, know more about what's going on. But sometimes we don't frame it. Ooh, that's good. And what's the future like? After, ooh, that's so good. What's the future like after the incident? That's so good. Oh my goodness. Framing it. I always think of framing as steel frame, almost like a picture, and I remember pictures in my life of where things that took place, like, assassinations, or or it might be inaugurations, or things that went on in my lifetime, that I remember the pictures. What did I get from those pictures? And I also remember the picture of, you know, after Martin Luther King. Well, they had him at the Lorraine Hotel. I remember that picture. I remember that picture. And then they were trying, and he was down on the ground. I remember that. Remember Bobby Kennedy. And I was young, but nonetheless, these are things that maybe some of our younger, millennials and below have no idea of what we might have experienced, in terms of those of us who lived long enough to have seen it. You know, filter what's important. Right. Filter what's important. Oh my goodness, that's true. That's true. I believe that we all make attempts at that, but some of us are more vulnerable than others on what we can or cannot filter. Some of us get caught up in it, and therefore we become a part of it, instead of being able to step back from it, and it makes it different. So to focus, to me, says looking at what's the center of it, what's the point of it, what is the pivotal thing that's taking people around, that this is vital. It may not be vital. It may be vital for the person that is speaking it, that's involved in it, but it may not be vital to you if you really analyze it, which is looking at the filter, looking at the future, framing it, familiarizing yourself with it. It makes sense to me. And the other thing is, like, how will it affect where I'm going? If it's just for now, if it's a now protest and it has no legs, or I'm going to jail, just because I remember when I was in undergraduate school, we always talk about association accommodation. And sometimes we associate with people, not realizing that we've accommodated ourselves with them, that we get whatever they get by association. When I was, doing my counseling work, one of the things I talked about was like, when trouble is occurring and you're with someone who even though you didn't do the trouble, but because you are with them, you are charged with the same offense. Most states have that same law wherever you're at. Everybody's guilty. Now you may be actually ended up being charged as an accessory, but if somebody was, wounded horribly or died, then you would be charged with the same offense. We have to think beyond the moment, beyond the now. We have to think futuristically. So thank you, Debbie, for talking future. We move on in the word of pontificate. We talk about intimidate. How many of us have seen intimidation in the raw? There's some people that they open their mouth and you're intimidated. They intentionally do that. They realize that giving a sense of frightening people, or putting people in awe of who they are, making people feel that they're less than what they are, because I'm in charge. That's where it lies. So it talks about when someone has gone through a thing where they've been intimidated, they're frightened or overawed, especially in order to make them do what they want them to do. That's scary. How many people have gotten in trouble, gotten in different situations because they followed somebody, not that they necessarily believed them, but they were intimidated by them, fearful of them. Look at all the women that have been in relationships where they're really victims of the relationship because they love this person. They don't tell when the person is mistreating them, abusing them, physically, sexually, emotionally. They don't ever tell it, and it, but it exists. It exists. So that intimidation may get you to a point where everything this person says you listen to, and you don't realize that it has a long lasting effect. But ideal and illness, that's good. That's good, because I believe that those people do have an illness. I believe they do. So when we have somebody that is being intimidated, they're frightened, there's the person that's doing it is a menace, they're terrifying people. Sometimes they meant to subdue people, discourage people, daunt them, threaten them, bully them, pressure them, browbeat them. You know, intimidation is real. Some people are extremely intimidated, you know, to the point where they can't even have a regular conversation with anyone because the person has almost trained their response to people to being nothing, no conversation, unless they're just listening and talking to this other person that's doing that intimidation. So pretty wild, but it does happen. My C in pontificate is for challenge. It is a challenge for us every day we live to not run into people who think more of themselves and less of you, and therefore think that they should be over you by what they say and they can try to get you to do. Captivated. Oh yes. Captivation is weird because it's a tricky thing. I think a lot of times people go in relationships or all those kinds of things, and or even jobs. You know, you're captivated by the job, and then you find out, or the relationship, later on you find out that it was a trap. You know, the job is no good, and the person that you think you went into this relationship with is going to be solid and wonderful, and not good, not good. But then society checks in, and they said, well, I don't want society, I don't want my family and friends to know that I'm really unhappy, and I'm really fearful, and I'm really this and that, because I have this person that, you know, basically does a good job of, you know, pontificating to me that I am less than and they are more than me. Crazy stuff. Uh, catastrophe, yes. And caught. Yeah, that's good. That caught thing is really good. But a catastrophe, yes. I said it wrong the first time. Catastrophe, yes. Um, Sometimes that's how our lives can be catastrophic. Period. You know, who we meet, who we run into, who we hang with, you know, who we sleep with. You know, somebody they may be in your house, who you feeding every day. You know, I always wondered about, you know, parents who raise children, and they raise them where they're loving to them, but the love isn't returned. You know, it shows up in other ways where they want, like the Melendez, is that their name? The brothers, you know, we gave you everything, but you take our life because you want it all. You want it all. You don't see me for who I am, just as your parents who have made you not have to work as hard as we had to work to earn what we gave you, and what you got, or what you're in line to get in our natural demise. But no, you made it. You rushed it. You wanted it early. You wanted it now. That's scary stuff. That's scary stuff. And obviously, to me, you know, someone was pontificating to how to do it. Listen to me. This is how it needs to be done. That's scary. It's scary, scary, scary. No, yeah, Menendez. I thought I said Melendez. Menendez brothers. Yes, those two. Yes. Wow, cougars. Okay, that's funny. So we move. Anyway, the challenge also says that someone has been dared, provoked, or summoned. They've summoned to stand up for who they are or are not. Um, and sometimes that's how cults are formed, because you know you're better than this. You come with me. You're a part of this. It always amazes me, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago in another word that I was using that pretty much says that people can be swayed, was looking at Jim Jones. They probably have to have shot me because, I am a textured person anyway, and things that are bitter, all that kind of stuff. I'm probably already on the list of, we going to have to shoot her because she ain't going to drink that. Wasn't going to do it. I wouldn't have done it. But once again, you get out there and you've been stripped, and I truly believe that those who have, listened to people through that, pontificating, megaphone, they hear it. Eventually it sinks in. They said, like, war, like people that have been captured, war him and become war, war victims, victims of war, and they hostage. I can't imagine what they've been through. I cannot, you know. So when I move on in the word of pontificate, my A is for annoying. I think we know what annoying is. We know what annoying does. Domestic violence is similar to, yeah, absolutely, Lavender. Domestic violence, which is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Alert. How do we get alert with if we're the kind of people who are gullible and we don't get the idea that somebody is playing us, pulling us in, making us a part of their, puppet movement, eventually we're all the way in. We're all the way in. And it is scary. It is very, very scary that how people act. Thank you, Debbie. So annoying says causing irritation or annoyance. They said that that's what a person who pontificates does. They intend to be annoying and dogmatic, but they intend to do that because they're searching you out on how they can pull you along. So annoying also talks about it being irritation, exasperation, trying harder and harder, making it tiresome to even deal with them, irksome, vexing, provoking, there it is, provoking, and difficult. So I mean, we know that we've run across people who have that personality. We know it. We see it, and some of us like it, and so we're attracted to those people. I used to counsel some young ladies who had this idea that they only wanted a thug. They didn't want anybody that necessarily worked a regular job. They wanted somebody that was free and available when they wanted to hang out with them, even though they were putting in their regular hours at work, their 8 hours. So they were really buying this person's attention, no matter how negative it was. Anger, that's a good word. And they should have been angry, but they were not, because they didn't realize that they were being pulled in. They were pulled in by love and then betrayed into everything else that became controlling, that became annoying, that eventually they found themselves having trouble getting out of. And sometimes that's what we do. We can listen to the best speakers, I went to a conference once, and the speaker was really good. And I'm not going to lie. And everybody there. And I remember I was almost negatively dealt with by all the other people around me. Girl, you ain't going to get a book. Girl, this is good stuff. And I don't know. I had my own personal suspicion. You have 24-hour access to us and all that kind of stuff. And later on, the people were complaining because the book they bought really was stuff that they could have thought up themselves. No big deal. No big deal. But it was the delivery. It was the delivery. And sometimes a person who delivers well is also someone who can pontificate. They can speak really good, harshly, get into your every fabric of your thinking, and next thing you know, it's like, come with me, you're there. You're right there with them. Assault, anger, act, alert, all those. Acknowledge. Ooh, that one's good too. All of those. Great, great, great. So annoying. So annoying, we need to pay attention to. And then my T of look at me. I'm just so excited. I see all those words. Pontificate is thoughts. What thoughts do we have? We a lot of times listen to other people's thoughts. We take it on. We take on their thoughts and we lose our thoughts, or we gravitate to what they believe. We turn tactful. Ooh, yes. Technology all over the place. Every time we turn it on the computer, there's somebody there ranting something. Look at me. I'm giving you something right now. Trying to encourage you to have your own thoughts. Have your own thoughts, no one else's thoughts. Know what you believe, not what someone else believes. Listen to what you want to do and where you want to go, and not necessarily what someone is encouraging you, even though they may have some idea of what is. Check it out first, which is what Joan said earlier. Check it out before you do it. So thoughts talks about an idea or an opinion. We talked about opinionarity, produced by thinking or occurring suddenly in the mind. All of a sudden, you're given something. Like I always tell you that God will give me new words. Sometimes he does. But this particular word, pontificate, I kept hearing people use it. And I said, you know what? I got to bring that to life. Bring it to life. Let people realize that it's powerful. It has some things in it that we need to be aware of, so that not only will we end up not knowing not only will we end up knowing pontificate, but all the things that it falls from or to if we don't pay attention. So temper is really good. But thoughts also are our ideas, our notions, our line of thinking, our opinion, our convictions, because sometimes we are convicted with doing certain things, even though we know that we need to check it. But sometimes we go with the conviction itself and we never check anything along the way. It's our beliefs, and then it's our view. It's our view of life. Our view of life. Now, on my last letter, I'm going to ask you all. My last letter is E. What would you, with all the things that I've said, I'm going to do a quick, because this was a long word. A quick recap. Give me what you would give me for my E down there. So far for pontificate, I said it's when someone preaches, providing opinion. They get you nestled within the idea where they're at. They give you their temperament, not yours. They also are inciting you to do something, making you focus more on them and to yourselves, making sure that they intimidate you, that you will do what is expected of you, challenging you to do the right thing, their thing. And say it was right thing, but it's their thing. Making it that when it's delivered, it may be in an annoying or demanding way. It says also giving you thoughts. Your thoughts? No, it's their thoughts and how you feel about their thoughts, that you would be a believer. Educate. Okay. Ooh, I love it. Educate, evil, embarrassed, right? Oh my God. Expedite, edge, all those. Great. My favorite word that I love which is elucidate, which is to make things clear. And a lot of times we do not elucidate things. But my word I gave is expound. Expound means to present and explain. How many of us ask people to present it in a way that it can be explained? Don't give me the temper. Don't give me the anger. Don't give me the frustration. Don't give me the what I would call the Mary Poppins sweetheart view. Give me the real thing. What are you really saying? A lot of times we don't ask on that. We stay with what attracted us. Did you hear them say that? Oh, that. Give me 5. We're in it. But we need to sometimes slow it down. Make sure we know what it really means and how it would affect us. How would that really work with who we are? So expound. This is present and explain a theory or an idea systematically and in detail. Sometimes people can't explain what they really believe, but they can explain that they want you to join in their belief. What am I believing in? They won't ask. You don't ask. Therefore, they don't have to explain. So expound means to present, put forward, set forth, offer, frame it up. Somebody talked about that earlier. I think it was Joan. It says give an account of. It says elucidate. There's that word again. Elucidate, delineate, and provide detail. My goodness, my goodness. This was a great word. It was a great word because we got so many other words out of this that relates to it, that pretty much sets us up. Exhibit is good. Eager is good. It sets us up for all the conversations that, this time of year comes up with, politics, religion, weight, whatever it is, who lives in the best neighborhood and makes the most money, and all those things which we could stand on this side or that side of the street. You have to ask yourself, would is that where I really want to be? No, it's not where I want to be. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to be there. I want to be, where no matter what you believe, I'm okay with you. Let's keep it there. But if he breaks it down to you, it always doesn't work. It should be we are okay on everything, and we don't discuss these things. That's Sandy. That's who I am. That's Dr. Winnie. I just feel that everybody has an opinion, and therefore when they leave a conversation, whatever they came in with, they can take it with them. It's okay. And that's not a negative, that's a positive, because that means I tried to strip you of nothing. Whatever you came with, you leave with. And maybe you learned something from me. So maybe when you leave, you take something that I said that wasn't threatening, that wasn't annoying, that wasn't given to you dogmatically. So therefore, you're okay with me. But anyway, that's all I have. I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you. Oh man, this was a good word. I enjoyed doing it. I appreciate you all for coming in. Listen, hit that share button, please. No money required here. Just spreading the words, spreading words to make them have more, what I would say, meaningfulness to you, and therefore you can use them in confidence to talk from a little child all the way up to anybody in serious high power. Okay, have a great day. Love you guys. I'll see you on Friday with another word. Be safe out there. Thank you. Bye-bye.